All right, welcome to another video. Today's video is about intentions, about the intentions of the people that are with you when you stop drinking alcohol, about if you're living with somebody who is a not too nice person when they've had a few drinks on them. You've stopped drinking and now they're continuing to have a drink. There's a few things in here. I'm Kevin O'Hara. If you don't know me, I've stopped drinking in 2013 and I coach people how to stop drinking over on habitsv2.com. Okay, this one is from Jenny Rose. Now, this was a comment that followed up a video that we did on what happens if your partner still drinks. So I'll read this first. And she says, I did it. She stopped drinking and I knew there was no intention of my husband ever quitting unless he has a serious realization or an incident. Almost 3 years, honestly. I think he's become less of a heavy drinker. But when he does go overboard, I have no patience to deal with it. He isn't fun or a light-hearted drunk. His sober and drunken versions are polar opposites, so it's a shock when the drunk one kicks in. So you have to know that your personal ability to be around it will be challenging. I try to find the beauty in everything, and my boundaries are set whether he throws a fit or not. I think he sees the easy tranquility in our home when he's not drinking. Not my journey, so I just continue on. I'm very grateful for it. Okay, so let's take this apart a little bit. First of all, I did it and I knew there was no intention that my husband ever quits unless he has a serious realization or an incident. I mean, when you're looking at something like that, I think that serious realization or incident happens, it's just a really personal thing, so you never know what's going to hit one person. I mean, what made it easy? I'm not talking to you, Jenny, I'm talking in general, and this is the same. It's not just for a husband against or wife against her husband. It's on either side. Esther, my partner, she didn't stop for 7 years after I'd stopped, and by the time she did stop, I'd kind of lost hope that she was going to stop, if you get what I mean. But she did, and it was a real. At first, it was kind of like the same decision, the same reaction that she had when I stopped, which was, she said, "I'm not stopping," and she knew that I was serious about it because just one or two things had happened at that stage in my life, and yeah, I'd been threatening to really cut down or stop or do a lot of things at the time. So it was just one of those things that happened with her. When she stopped, I was kind of like, "Really, are you serious? You're going to do this?" And I was happy that she'd done it, and really delighted. But look, all of this stuff, you never know what's going to happen. You never know how long it's going to take for this to happen. She goes on to say, almost 3 years, and honestly, I think he's become less of a heavy drinker. But when he does go overboard, I have no patience to deal with it. He isn't a fun or light-hearted drunk. His sober and drunken versions are the polar opposite, so it's a shock when the drunk one kicks in. So, the patience is the patience that you're losing at this time is a I've been there, I've done that, and it's kind of like I've sorted myself out now. What the hell are you waiting for? And we all get it to a certain degree. I think in the beginning we're of that mindset where we're kind of, we want everyone else to change because it makes it easier for ourselves to change it. It makes it easier for, if there's no alcohol around, there's no one drinking alcohol around, everyone says, yeah, you're right. And, you were right all along. And now I'm going to make this change happen in my life. It kind of reinforces your decision, but it also makes it a lot easier because nobody else is doing it, right? So, on the other hand, I've spoken about this before, but I don't like drunken people at all. I don't like being around drunken people. I'll avoid any situations where I know there's going to be a lot of drunken people, and I can avoid it. There's certain situations where you maybe not are able to do that. There's Christmases and birthdays, and where we go, where people are going to get a little bit drunk, but you can excuse yourself and go home. I particularly don't like when I have my family members or my good friends who are drinking, because I'm used to them now not being drinking. And when they if everything spills over and somebody says something that they don't mean to say or acts in a way that they don't mean to act, and I don't mean just people having fun and partying, and I mean you can put that aside, but I'm not saying it happens all the time, but the times that it does happen, when somebody says something that they don't mean, that they're kind of ashamed of the next day, I see that, and they may not remember it at all, but I see it and I understand that it's gone on, and it's one of those things that just sticks in your mind then afterwards. So Jenny goes on to say, so you have to know that your personal ability to be around it will be challenging. That's a great point. You have to understand that when you start out this journey, this is your journey. This is your decision to stop drinking. And it's usually the result of you thinking about it for a long time. Don't forget, this is your journey with alcohol has stopped a long time, or has started a long time before you stopped drinking, right? Your journey with alcohol started the day that you put the alcohol into your mouth. And this is a journey that's been ongoing. I always looked at stopping drinking as the part of my new journey, as, like a page, a new chapter in my life, maybe a new volume of the same book, right? Kevin's Life Part 1 and Kevin's Life Part 2. And this is the Part 2 that I'm living. And everyone else has got to come to that decision. Like I said, you never know what somebody's decision is going to be until they actually make it, for themselves. And it can be something so small that is the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Something minute, but it's the pressure, the mountain pressure. We're good at deceiving ourselves, and it's not really self-deception, because you can't really. Part of the idea of deception is you're withholding information, you're withholding knowledge from the person that you're trying to deceive. Now, if you're deceiving yourself, how does that work, right? You're withholding information from yourself. So it's more that we're dealing with life with this form of distraction. So we're distracting ourselves from the thing that we want to do, or that we know that we should do, by distracting ourselves and going, well, look over there, look at this result of this survey, or the result of this study that says that resveratrol is a good thing in wine, and not so many, small amounts of wine are good for you, or this type of thing. And we're looking at information that will reinforce our drinking, and we're ignoring everything else. That's the self-deception, really, that's going on. So when you start on this journey, as Jenny says, we have to look at it from the perspective that this is going to be a challenging time, because that person that you're with is not going to be ready just because you are, right? It's just because a lot of stuff can happen in a relationship, whether the relationship works out or not. I'm always happy when the person who decides to stop drinking alcohol is willing to put up with their partner and their partner drinking for as long as is necessary. Unless there is there's a problem. Sometimes there's problems that you just can't be overcome. And you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to dig into that. If somebody is just being an asshole, and they're continuing to be an asshole, then there's no point in there's some things that just can't be worked out, right? So she goes on to say, I try to find the beauty in everything, and my boundaries are set whether he throws a fit or not. And that's it. It's really control what you control. There's nothing else that you can do. You control the alcohol that goes into your body. That's the main thing. You can control every drop of alcohol that went into your body up until now. You controlled that. And any amount of alcohol that was supposed to go into your body from this day forth is controllable by you saying, I'm not going to do that anymore. Your meaning comes from your life, and only you can find it, right? Your meaning, whether that's to stop drinking alcohol or not to stop drinking alcohol, comes from you. And it's the same thing with your partner's meaning. I mean, what it takes for them to step over that line is for them. It's not up to you. It's not your responsibility to do that. The only responsibility that you can take on board is for yourself. Like I said, we can We can either nag and try and get our partners to follow suit as much as we want, but they're not going to do it unless they're ready. Unless they're in that frame of mind to do it. I mean, some people will stop for a while, but they'll go back onto it and they'll resent the fact that you tried to make them stop in the first place. So, and then she says, I think he sees the easy tranquility in our home when he's not drinking. So, I mean, have you ever asked him how he sees you now? Because that's something that happens, especially after three years, right? That tranquility that you have in your own person now. The changes that you have. Like I said, 3 years is a long time. You see most of the changes in the first year, but those changes become solidified and they become very nuanced after the first year. You work on different parts of yourself and you just grow as a person. So, I mean, have you asked that and seen how much you have actually grown yourself? And then she goes on to say, not my journey, so I just continue on, and I'm very grateful for all of it. I'm glad you said that. Like I said, this is, I think most couples, when one stops, it becomes a waiting game, right? Do you get what I mean? It's like you're waiting now for the other person to, they see, you're waiting for them to see the things that you saw in the beginning. I mean, everyone sees the hangover. Everyone looks at the hangover and goes, oh yeah, this is shit. But, it wears off, so the next day comes and people are quite happy, or the next day or the weekend or whatever it is, people are quite happy to go back to drinking then. Except when you start to realize that this hangover is coming all the time. And if you've got somebody living with you who is directly showing you the benefits of waking up every single day without a hangover and the things that they're doing, how their life is moving on, right? It makes a huge difference to other people. And it becomes a waiting game, because for the other person, or for you, it's not, I don't think it's a question of that they're never going to do it. It's only a question then of when, right? Because they see that, they see all the things that made you want to quit, including the hangover, including the not being able to get stuff done the next day. And they now see you reaping the benefits of you having quit, all the rewards. He doesn't know it yet, but he's on your journey as well. He's a part of your journey. Same as you were on each other's journey while you were both drinking. He's a part of your journey now. And that's, I think, the greatest part of this. You can't find meaning for someone else, but you can help them by living your meaning. And they are sharing that part of your meaning, or meanings, whatever it is in life. He's part of your life. He's part of your journey. And seeing you go through all the benefits of living life authentically, in this case without alcohol, right? While at the same time going through all the negatives of that instant gratification lifestyle, again, in this case, booze. And like I said, it's a waiting game. How many times does it take for your husband or your wife to get up with the hangover and you don't, right? And he's sat there with the hangover in the morning and he's thinking, yeah, what did I say last night? And I was a bit mean and whatever. How many embarrassing moments does he have to go through? I've met some pretty brutal drunks in my time, and they're always bloody sorrowful the next morning. And mostly, it's they come out if it's your partner that's doing this. Mostly they approach their partner who wasn't drinking with very sheepish, in that way. And again, there's a danger in something being said that can't be taken back, right? Whether or not those lines are crossed, whether they're, you need to point these things out. There's lines that can't be crossed whether they're drunk or not, right? That's, I think, a rule that you have to take on for yourself. Like I said earlier on, there are certain things in life that are going to show you whether the partnership is going to work out or not. I'm all for sticking with the person that you're with, because I think, any good relationship takes work to push it through. So again, why I don't like hanging around with drunk family or members, say shit that's tossed out in the wind by them, but you remember it the next day. So I hope you got something out of that. It makes a lot of sense to me that if you're in a relationship with somebody and you make the decision to stop drinking, these are the main points, is you take that responsibility onto your shoulders. You take the commitment onto your shoulders for you. You can't commit for somebody else. You can't take the responsibility for them and for them taking it out of their own lives. They have to come to that decision for themselves. But having you there as a guide, however willing they are to follow you as a guide, it's a subconscious thing. Like I said, they wake up every day. You haven't got a hangover. They have. You haven't got any shame for what you did the night before. They have. And all of these things they're purposeful. Even shame and guilt have a purpose. They're things to stop you from doing the things that you shouldn't be doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be shameful of them, right? You wouldn't feel shame if you didn't have the idea that these things were bad in the first place. So it's a multitude of these shameful moments, the hangovers, all the negatives that happen. Think about why you stopped drinking in the first place. And it takes people sometimes a much longer time to get away from the alcohol than the first person. But I think once you're on that path with somebody, I think it's inevitable that they will follow. In most cases, I think 9 times out of 10, the other person will follow, because they just think, first of all, what's the point of me doing it anymore for myself? Because I'm sick of getting drunk on my own, so they're gradually reducing the amount of alcohol that they're consuming, hopefully. And eventually then they just, people are not stupid. They put 2 and 2 together, and once the self-deception ends, then reality kicks in and the person goes, yeah, imagine where I would be now if I had stopped when you did 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is. So it's you're on the right path. You're the peer that your husband needs. You're the influence that your husband needs. So fair play to you, Jenny, and I really appreciate the comment. Take care, onwards and upwards. Bye now.